boat. The trailer towed very well. You'll be integral in it. Spoke with a gentleman named
You go live and you already have 20 viewers.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Hey, hey, hey. Go ahead and let me know you're on board. Hi, Abby. Good to see you. Good to see you, everyone. Rocking it. Greg Minsky, you are my brother from another mother.
Carolyn.
Hello from Canada. Hi, Carolyn. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What is up, Coach? Yes, indeed. It's a little loud here. That is because, hi, Carissa from South Carolina. I, in the back of my custom limousine right over here, is Elon Amir.
What's going on, guys?
That is the millionaire apprentice, apprenticing his apprenticeship.
Can you hear us all right? Give us some likes if you can hear us.
Give us some hands up, baby. Hands up. Can you hear us? Yo, Elon.
Some likes.
Good. Can you hear us? Right on, right on.
Atlanta, we'll be seeing you tomorrow.
Loud and clear, great. So this is Jeffrey Combs, and we are riding shotgun on the Stagecoach to Prosperity. In the front seat, we have Eric Schneider, who used to be Eric at one time. I'll give you. There is Eric. Eric, say hello, Eric.
How you doing, guys?
Okay, that is Eric. Eric has been my limousine driver for 20 years. Eric used to be the limousine driver for the richest man in California, Alex Spanos. So Eric is my trusted compadre. He is the driver on the Stagecoach to Prosperity. This was Elon Amir's suggestion and idea to do a little periscoping on the way to Atlanta. I am catching a red-eye flight, a 10:55 flight, flying first class to Atlanta, where I'll be speaking with Melissa Marcantel, Vicky Cook, whole group of exceptional business women. Many of them are Isogenics associates. It will be a generic event. So thank you for being on here tonight. We'll be doing a lot more periscoping. Greg Minsky said that this is absolutely life-changing for him. So those of you who are enjoying this interactive, we'll be doing a lot more of this. Now I'm here live and I'm going to answer a few questions. If you want to ask me some questions, millionaire questions about how to close sales, I'll give you some great insight. It does not matter what business venture you are in or what sellings. Look at that. That's a little reflection on the old glasses. That does happen when you're 58 years young. So if you have a question you want to ask me that I can assist you to close a sale, I heard someone, who's that? Hurry up and start coaching with me. Okay, I understand that. So that's good. So if you want to ask me a question that I can give you some insight tonight on how to improve your ability to close transactions, create more reciprocity and prosperity. Carlos from Seattle, good to see you, my brother. So if you want to ask away. Who has the first question for me? Sina Martin, how are you, Sina? Good to see you on tonight's Periscope. Anyone want to ask me a question? Well, if you don't ask me a question, I will answer one for you. How many of you have challenges closing sales? Well, that would be many of you. The reason that most people have challenges closing because of anxiety about the outcome. And what many people do is they go into fight or flight and they have a story about the money issue. Now that is, who wrote that? My Non-Toxic Life. How do you overcome the money issue? And then we have Jim Butt says, I do, Jeffrey, absolutely. How do you overcome the money issue? First of all, do not have a money dialogue in your head that's not conducive to attracting it. Many people say to me, I always get the money issue because you say you always did, then you always do. Meaning, don't telegraph your own broke thoughts. Don't telegraph your own anxiety about your lack of money. So enter any engagement like there's not going to be a challenge. You enter the engagement like your objective is to qualify the person for your time. But if you have anxiety about the money before you start, it means you're in an outer body experience, setting yourself up to receive disappointment before you start. And money is not an issue when money is not an issue for you. If people give you a money objection, it's not because they don't have the money. It's not because they don't see the value. It's typically, that was a good one. It's typically because, that's good. It's typically because your own anxiety and they can't make a decision. And when they say, well, this sounds good, I don't have the money, it doesn't mean they don't see the value. It oftentimes means that they can't decide. So what you want to do when you have a money objection is you ask another question. So if you are selling a product or a service, a benefit for a feature that retails for $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, whatever the dollar value is, then you have to be able to have more value than what you perceive there. So when you have someone say that to you, ask another question. If money weren't an issue, would you purchase tonight? You also want to ask this question: do you see the value? The more questions that you ask, the better you will understand what the real meaning of their objection is. So when someone says to you, they don't have the money, they don't have the time, they want to think about it, they want to ask their spouse, their significant other, someone down the street in the same financial category that they are, what it typically means is that that is a delayed decision. And that's what many people do. It's typically not about the money, it's about not being able to decide. And the more that you're able to ask the questions without the anxiety, you will find out what the real reason is. And oftentimes, the more questions you ask, the higher the probability that you will find what the real reason is. What do I say to someone who has viewed your opportunity? Let's see. Is there a secret? Is the secret to lie? No, the secret is never to lie, and there's no secret. It's a skill situation. You have to develop the skills by the repetition and the experience. And the more skilled you become in the process, the less likely you are to create anxiety before you begin. One of the biggest deterrents to your success is your mindset. And if your dialogue with money is not conducive to being able to attract and create people to your reality that can see the value, then you'll continue to live in your own money challenges. Your money dialogue is going to be a direct reflection of the 20,000 meals you spent with your financial planners that you grew up with. Now that you're grown up, you deserve to be prosperous. So that means you must be able to have a dialogue with money that's conducive to attracting it. Psychology of Asking just bought it. Great content. Thank you very much. I appreciate your content here. Now, art of persuasion rather than presentation. Can you give examples of asking questions in a sequence? Yes, I can. Here's how this would look. If I was going to call a dog sitter, if I was going to call a prospect, if I was going to call someone to clean my house, it'd be the same series of questions. So here's how it'd go. If I was going to call someone to clean my house, and I called Mary Maids. Mary Maids is a franchise that I used to use earlier in my career. And I'm going to use this as an example because this shows you that the way you do one situation is the way you do everything. So they answer the phone, they go, Mary Maids, and I'd go, my name is Jeffrey Combs, I'm calling from Stockton, California, and the reason I'm calling is I'm calling to find out a little bit about your services and your rates to clean residential properties. Would you be able to assist me? And they say, yes, I am. How long have you been in business? Do you typically clean homes in the College Park area where I live? What typically are your rates per hour? How long have you been in business? Now here's how that would translate. When you call a lead and they answer the telephone, they go low, you go, can I speak with Tom Smith? Tom, you had responded to my internet ad about starting a business from home, is that correct? Great. Tom, what do you do for a career? How long have you been a general contractor? And how many years have you been in business? That's what you're really asking someone. Is that a good profession for you? That's one of the most important questions you ask right there. Is that a good profession? When I sit on the airplane tonight on first class, and the person that is sitting next to me, if they are emotionally available, if they smile, they say hello, they give me some kind of warm, friendly greeting or any situation like that, that gives me an open opportunity to engage. That's what it is, to engage. This is the window right here, the sequence of qualifying a lead. It starts with, how are you this evening? Where are you traveling to? And then, what do you do for a career? Is that a good career for you? If they go, well, you know, it's okay. Have you ever considered starting your own business? I mean, right there is the question. Have you ever considered starting your own business? If you have someone that follows you on Facebook, LinkedIn, or any social media process, and they're starting to follow you and they want to find out a little bit about what you do, you want to take that situation offline if possible, meaning you want to receive their phone number and you want to call them. And then the sequence of questions goes like this. See, there's a centrifugal force that goes like this. There is a flow. But when you have a gap and a delay like this, when they say, what is it you do? And you go, that's the deer in the headlight syndrome. Then followed by, well, gee, let me telegraph my uncomfortability. Let me have spit come out of my mouth. Let me check out. Let me go into an outer body experience. It'll take me 3 to 15 seconds before, I'm in a business I'm not really very successful in, and I'm really desperate for people to join my free enterprise business from the discomfort of my home, where you too can be as financially and emotionally challenged as I am. And when we finish this conversation, I'm going to go to the refrigerator and get me a bottle of Heineken. No, that is Perrier. People ask me, why do I drink Perrier? I'll be quite candid with you. Because it reminds me of Heineken. Now, I haven't had a drink in 28 years, but sometimes the romance still lingers. You can appreciate that. I feel like it's Wednesday at 9 p.m. Jeff, thank you. Abby O'Neill, you rock. Thank you for being on tonight's call. You feel what I'm saying, cuz? You know what I mean? You guys didn't know I was funny sometimes. You've only seen this serious side. How do you close on a spouse on consulting someone else's objection? That is a very good question. The proverbial spouse question. There is Teresa. Hi, Teresa. How are you? It's Cherie. Good to see you. Ha, ha, ha. Good. Abby. There you go. So this is a good question. The proverbial spouse developing situation. If you get good, you'll address the spouse situation up front. Now, that doesn't always happen because sometimes you're lost in your own sauce and you forget who you're supposed to be when you're doing. So you got kids going on, and prospecting is not always perfect. Just like an at-bat in baseball, you can look bad on the first 2 pitches and then go downtown or go yard and hit a home run. Right, Greg Minsky? For those of you who are Metropolitan fans or Yankee fans or Red Sox fans, it's the outcome that you focus on. You can close a sale and botch it. What matters is the result. And it's the repetition of the experience. Love Periscope. Thank you for the value, Jeff. So let's address Dr. Shauna. Good to see you. The spouse question. Well, this sounds really good. I'm sure you can appreciate this, but I have to run this by my spouse. Now, here's a good one I used once. This one woman said to me, I'm sure you can appreciate I have to run it by my husband. Now, I'm not suggesting you do this, but I am good at this. And I said to the woman, actually, what I appreciate is a woman who can make a decision. And she goes, I said, what does hum mean? She goes, I go, that is a place where water is stored. That's a hole in the ground. And then I laughed, and she laughed, neutralized the whole situation. Then she said to me, this does sound pretty good. And I said, how pretty good does it sound? She goes, I'm thinking about getting started. And I said, I appreciate your thinking about it, but how do you feel? So I used the felt response to the objection. She goes, I feel really good. And I said, you feel good enough to get started tonight? She goes, I do. And that's exactly how you do this. Now, is she entitled to speak to her spouse? Unequivocally. If she wants to speak to her husband, the fireman, the dog catcher, someone down the street in the same financial situation she is entitled to do that. But me, as an exceptional closer, I understand the inner game of closing. The inner game always comes down to he who asks the best qualifying questions. Does that glare bother you on the old glasses? I'll move over here a little bit, so you have to look beyond that. But when people ask you these questions, some of the questions and some of the objections they give you are objections to stall. The more you understand that, the better off you are. Here's a couple other ways that you address the spouse situation. Does your husband support you as a businesswoman? Does your wife support you as a business owner? When will you be able to converse with your spouse? When you'll be able to run that by your spouse? Ask another question so that you can see if it's a stall tactic or it's legitimate. Now, if it's legitimate, then you legitimately want to get on the phone with the spouse and the significant other, if possible. Not to convince them, but to see where they are. See if they're on the same team, see where they're coming from. And you continue to ask a series of questions. Crushing it. Carolyn Olson is saying, thank you very much, Carolyn. How is everyone this evening? This is great. Anyone else want to ask me a question? Crocker Jeffrey, unequivocally number 1. Anyone else want to Neely, live free. You rock. Thank you, Carlotta Davis. He's not selling. He's coaching us how to close sales. How is everyone this evening? Anyone else have a question on closing? Closing is not that difficult. Here's a couple other key components. You don't close at the end. You close throughout the conversation. You close by the questions you ask. The most important question you ask is how, Neely, you're right. My humble apologies. I know you, Neely, in Arizona. It's the spelling of it. Sometimes I get dyslexic. Badia. That's all. No, it's not all, folks. That was Porky Puke. Remember that? Deep breath. How quickly you get back in touch with someone? That is a great question. I get back in touch with someone as quickly as possible, provided they allow me to have that possibility. So to be able to, you have to be able to ask for what you deserve. So when you ask someone if they have to think it over, you want to ask them, you'd go, Greg, typically, how long do you require before you can make a decision? It's a simple question. So that's awesome. So Kristen Coda, my brother from another mother, good to see you. Abby says, how many times do you follow up? Now, this is great because this is not a black and white situation. Not everyone buys emotionally. Not everyone buys immediately. You have to understand that. And here's what you have to understand, that some people require longer to make a decision in French. And the people that typically require the longest to make a decision are the people who are analytical. They make their buying habits based on facts, figures, and logic. They tend to be the most intelligent sector of society, and they are very left-brain. So I will typically follow up with someone once, maybe twice, if I feel they merit it. I also will direct people where they can find out their own content, their own information, so that I'm not the follow-up king, I'm not the follow-up stalker. I used to stalk people, and I'm no longer doing that. So, one or two times following up. But, Susan Sly is a very interesting situation. I had the privilege of coaching Susan early in her career. I coached her upline, Deborah Kay, who's an exceptional woman. You may have heard Susan Sly's story that Deborah Kay followed up with Susan many times. Well, the reason she did is because she had a relationship with her. Her and Susan have been in two different businesses. I once followed up with a guy named Jim Logan 6 or 7 times, once a month. That's the isolated incident syndrome. But you typically aren't going to follow up with someone who's not interested. You're not going to follow up with someone who said, I'll get back with you. You're not going to follow up with someone who doesn't really give you a buy signal. You follow up with someone who merits a follow-up. Someone says, I'd like to do my research. I'd like to find out more about your company. Then you would use their first name and go, Steve, when would it be good for me to follow up with you? Or you could take command and say, Steve, would it be possible for me to follow up with you in 24 hours? He goes, well, I'm going out of town. Here's what we can do, Steve. Here's my phone number. Here's my Facebook. We're Facebook friends. Feel free to get back with me when it's convenient for you. So someone just said, it's not your job to break someone out of denial. That is absolutely correct. I get people right to the edge where they think they're going to close, then come excuses why. Now that is Ron Coiner. Thank you very much, Ron. And the reason that tends to happen is, and this isn't personal for you, Ron, but this happens to a lot of people. Your anxiety about closing oftentimes gets in the way of the close. Also, do you solidify appointments and make sure people show up? Yes, I absolutely do. I'll come back to that one. Please resend me that question about appointments. Ron, you bring a very good point. So this always happens to me syndrome, let go of that, because it doesn't always happen to you, especially after tonight. That is not going to happen to you. You can virtually change your energetic vibration by one decision, by one deep breath. Let's see, someone sent me another question. They're going so fast, I'm getting so many at one time.
What do you do if someone says, I'll call you?
Have you ever been encouraged to drip on people? Yes, I definitely have been dripped on people. One of the top people I dripped on was a guy named Jim Logan. I dripped on him for 7 months. He had been in 2 different business ventures with me. We had bad experiences. He was not open to looking at what I was doing. The very last company I retired from where I was successful, he merited follow-up because he was a producer. And I did follow up with him, and he's one of those guys that I used my results to follow up with. And I said, you know what, Jim, I just rank advanced my company. I had my first 5-figure month. Would you like to take a look at what I'm doing? He was willing to take a look. I took him through a very simple system, a very simple process. He joined. Now, this is one of these isolated incident stories. He went on to become a $250,000 income earner in his first year with me because he was a professional network marketer. I followed up with him because he merited more of my energy. But if I get a lead out of the newspaper or get a lead out of whatever, out of Craigslist or something like that, and they let me know they're not interested, I don't star them and go, wow, I'm going to follow up with this guy. I'm going to put him on my drip list. Drip list. Okay, so you can have a drip list. You can have an email drip list. There's this really cool new situation that many people are doing with Facebook. They're doing Facebook groups, they're doing product groups, and they're taking their prospects and they're plugging their prospects into these new groups. So that's a really good idea because that's a really effective drip list. So you might want to consider that. If you're in a wellness company, there are people really taking advantage of that, and it's real hot right now in the industry where you can start your own group, your own product group. You get a good name for it. You get the culture of your team involved in it, and you start posting it, then you start putting your prospects in there. What gives your prospects the idea that this is a bigger business opportunity than they thought. It shows there's a lot of support going on, and sometimes people see that and they get on board in 24, 48 hours. It's a very good idea. Does anyone else have a question for me before I wrap it up this evening? I am on my way to San Francisco International Airport with Alon Amir, my stagecoach partner on the road to prosperity. We are on the way to Atlanta, Georgia. We'll be doing a one-day event Saturday from 9 until 4, a More Heart Than Talent event. Next Saturday, I will be in Charleston, South Carolina with Carolyn Olson and Alon Amir and Bridget Bartley. That will be a fabulous event. When they say they'll call you, Beast, okay, so who else? Anyone else, when they say they'll call you? Someone asked me a question, I'll answer before I wrap it up tonight. Aren't you periscoping again this Saturday? Yes, I'm periscoping again this Saturday. I look forward to seeing you guys at Protege. That is outstanding. Kristen Coda, thank you, my brother. What's the next step on the process? I'm aggravating. Let him go. Can't wait for you to be in Albany. Thank you very much. See you next week. Anyone else want to say goodbye? Mindful, Mary Ann. Is that you, Mary Ann? Good. Kristen, good to see you, brother. Anyone else want to ask me a question? All right, everyone, when are you coming back to KC? You know, Kansas City is my favorite city. I lived there for 7 years. If someone would put some people together, I would come there in a second. I love Kansas City because my friend Michael DeRosa, one of my best friends in the world, owns 5 Italian restaurants there, and the veal's so tender, its mother's still crying. I'm very appreciative of you. Thank you very much, Ron Coiner. Bye from Kansas City. Who is that in Kansas City? Let me know who you are. I lived on the Country Club Plaza for 7 years. Anyone else? Goodbye. See you Saturday. Can't wait to see you in November in Newark. All right. Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone. See you on Periscope Saturday live in Atlanta. Bye-bye, everyone.